Get all the dust off of this. You gotta make a podcast. Dang. Okay, where's the theme music again?
There's no need to fear. Underdog is here.
Tiny white stuff.
Howdy, it's me, Edward, more geek than gay. Wow, it's been a while, hasn't it? I apologize about that. We'll talk more about what's gone on in a moment, but first I'd like to say thank you for tuning in, thank you for sticking around, thank you for being loyal and everything. It is great seeing it. I every once in a while get a chance to check the numbers and check the data and everything, and you guys are still there. I love that. It's me who's been gone, and Joseph who's been gone. Why? Because ever since the last episode, all sorts of things have happened. Starting with Joseph, basically his life has become incredibly busy. Okay, he's been having to do things with Joshua Tree. He's been having to do things with the Dart League, which is another non-profit organization where they play darts, but they're doing it to raise money for various charities around town. He's been having to help out with Jeannie because she's got a whole... This is her busy time of the year. One of her busy times of the year. So, like right now, they're out of town right now. They're down in Tucson for the Tucson Festival of Books. Yeah. So he has been incredibly busy, which means that he's not been able to come along and do any podcasting. So, there's that. Then there's me. I've been having to do job hunt. I've been having to do schoolwork. I've been having to... We have been having cat drama and everything. We have one cat that really needs to go to the vet, but whatever it's going to take is going to be really expensive, so we're trying to figure out how that's going to work because we got other drama, because we got to get the car fixed, because we had a car accident, and the other guy's insurance is like arguing with us about whose fault it is, trying to say, oh, look, we have a witness that says that you hit that car. And that's amazing because I have a photo that shows your car hitting the side of my car. Don't know how I hit your car. My insurance also agrees. Don't know how I hit your car, but means that we're still fighting with the insurance over this. Which also means that when the timing belt went, which possibly is part of this whole thing, car stopped running, have to try to figure out where to get money to get the car running again, so can continue to do job interviews, can continue to make appointments, can continue, we had to cancel a couple of doctor appointments. Archie's been having to take me around to, that's the roommate that dare not speak his name, he's been having to take me around to things here and there. We've been trying to get by, but wow! And so you combine all that, I've been in a weird frame of mind, and that's why you haven't heard from us until today. Because I keep on insisting to everybody, we're not pod fading. No. The podcast is still going. Yes, of course the podcast is still going. Why wouldn't the podcast be going? Well, you know what? If you're going to say the podcast is still going on, you better make a podcast. Ta-da! Making a podcast. Ta-da! See? That's how it works. Now I'm just dancing for no apparent reason. But, so, that's how this goes. I'll talk to you a little bit more about this at the end, but that's what's been going on. Getting this out there because I want to get you guys, I want to get back in this. I'm not going to sit here and tell you what the schedule's going to be for what's coming up, because going to have to test out a couple things, seeing what we can get schedule-wise going between my school and all that, because I got a homework assignment I'm supposed to be doing right now, and I'm not doing it. Why? Because I want to talk to you guys. Yes, I miss you guys. I miss you. But then there's also having to get Joseph in here. So how are we going to do that? We'll figure it out. But until we get the schedule going down right, I don't want to promise you guys what our schedule is going to be. Please bear with us for like the next couple weeks while we figure that out, and the schedule will eventually iron itself out. So, in the meantime, I have to scratch my nose because my big bulbous nose has an itch. Urgh. Anyway, what do I got to talk about? I'm a Targ. I'm a beanie Targ, and I'm gonna beanie Targ all over you. Plack block, or whatever Klingons say. Okay, I don't know why there was a Targ interruption, but Targ interruptions happen. Anyway, first off, this weekend, as I said, Joseph's not here. He's not able to do the podcast right now because he's been busy, and he's busy right now with the Tucson Festival of Books. I was wanting to get this podcast out last week so you guys would have a chance to, if you're in the area or had a chance to get yourself in the area, so you could get to the Tucson Festival of Books, because it's great. There's like so many authors right now down there at, I want to say hundreds, but I don't want to be guilty of exaggeration, but I'm fairly certain hundreds of authors, including many of our friends. Last year they had R.L. Stine there. So, like, this is one of the biggest book festivals in the country. It's going on this weekend. Jeannie's down there. Marcella Rockwell's down there. Let's see, Terry Smith's down there. I believe Weston Oakes is down there, and I think Yvonne Navarro's down there. Jeff Marriott, I think, is down there. We got a whole bunch of people down there that we know. Okay, that's why Joseph's down there helping out. Why didn't I get this information out to you guys earlier? Because I'm on Team Jeannie, and Team Jeannie has different jobs for different people, and I am the poof maker. What's a poof? You've not been reading her books, or else you'd know what a poof is. A poof is one of the little character, like, well, it's a pet. It's a pet that shows up in the books. Now, they started making poofs. Well, by they, I mean someone else did, and then I inherited the job, and ta-da, this is the poof. Although this is a prototype poof. This is the poof I don't get rid of, because this is the very first one I made, and I have to keep it so I can keep track of, oh yeah, in case there's little things. Just like, then I made a little thumb-sized poofy. It's the size of a thumb. And this is also the prototype, and it doesn't go anywhere. But they're going to the Festival of Books. She wanted poofs to be able to provide, as well as all of her books. So I had to crank out poofs. I was cranking out poofs until Friday, which is when they were going down there. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm the poof factory. Which sounds more and more obscene every time I say it. It really does. But, so that's how come I didn't get a chance to give you guys any warning on that. Hopefully, you guys get a chance to go to it sometime in the future. Or maybe if you did get a chance to go down to it, yay, you got the chance to go down to the Tucson Festival of Books. I don't know what means. But it's a noise that I apparently associate with the Tucson Festival of Books. It's a book noise. It's the noise of books. You just don't normally hear it because, you know, you're busy watching TV or podcasts or listening to podcasts or like music or something, and you don't hear your books in the background going chip, 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 chip. Listen more carefully, you'll find out that's what they do. So that's what's been going on recently. Really recently. That's what's going on right now. Well, it's not right now. They just finished up, and they've gone out to dinner. They finished up today. Joseph should be coming back tomorrow, but he's going to be exhausted. So that was that. Then, as for me, I was having, there was Comic-Con's coming up, Phoenix Comic-Con's coming up in a couple months, and as part of the moderator staff, it's my job to show up and, see what's going on. They've moved us to, they've kind of shifted us to a different department, so now we're all, confidential, and we know trade secrets that we didn't know before. So, unfortunately, I can't talk as much about it as I did last year, although I don't think I talked much about, the stuff going up until the show anyway. But this weekend, we have new moderators. We're helping them learn their craft and everything. I got to pretend to be Maya Angelou, and I also got to ask a pretend Samuel R. Delaney inappropriate questions. Yeah, just to see if someone would smack me down. They didn't smack me down anywhere near as quickly as they should have. It was awkward. The only thing that would have made it more awkward is if it really was Samuel R. Delaney. Anyway, speaking of Samuel R. Delaney, go read one of his books. Fantastic author. Great history on him, too. But that's neither here nor there. That's not what we're here to talk about at this moment. It may be in the near future, though, just to let you know. Just giving you a quick heads up on that. Be prepared for potential Samuel R. Delaney conversations. What's that? I don't know what that is. It dawned on me that it possibly doesn't sound good when you look down and then say, hey, what's that? Possibly looks incriminating somehow. Those of you who are just listening to the podcast, you missed out on that. Good job for you. Those of you who are watching it, it wasn't anything anywhere near as incriminating as what that sounded like it could have been. What else is there? Well, Google has announced that they're going to be updating their search engine, and I'm incredibly happy about this. I am a very fact-based person in many ways, and it will be nice to see the new search engine, because instead of being entirely based upon, oh, these are the top hits that you'll see, the most popular hits, there's going to be a quality of the search engine that is actually testing for information accuracy, things that are just factually accurate. That's how it's going to be doing that. You may have noticed if you use Google right now, you'll see a little thing on the side that talks about, it shows almost what looks like the beginning part of a Wikipedia entry, because it shows, if you do a search, it'll show date of birth, significant works, related things. It gives you all that. Those are little factual things that are undeniable. That's going to be part of what they're looking for in a web search, to see how many factual, undeniable things are on the web search. Now, of course, not everything can hit that. If it's an artist website, well, how's that going to measure? I don't know. And if it's some sort of Flat Earth Society website, oh, well, that's not going to show up as easily either. So if you're looking for a Flat Earth Society, it might be difficult. I'm sure they're going to offer variations of the search engine, not going to just switch entirely to basing the search engine on fact-based engine. But it's great that they're putting that out there so that we can stop, so that it can help curb all the weird information that's getting out there. I mean, the whole vaccination debate, the whole debate about evolution, all these debates that are going on really shouldn't be debates. Okay? It's either your personal belief or scientific fact. Okay? If it's your personal belief, that means that you completely disregard scientific facts. And that's fine, but acknowledge the fact that you don't have facts, you have a belief, and you shouldn't be basing... I shouldn't be having to deal with your belief system as part of the search. And as part of the information you're going to bring up to me, because if you're going to debate me on something, if you're bringing just your personal beliefs, well, there's nothing I can say that's going to win this debate. Okay? Because if you're just going to follow down on your personal beliefs, it doesn't matter what facts come to the table. So it's nice to see the idea of facts coming back. I know that there's a lot of people who do enjoy and prefer using belief-based systems, and more power to them. This is not a judgment call on your belief-based system. It is more a concept of just how you're going to debate things and how you're going to look for accurate information that is going to be based, that you'll share with other people. Okay? Your opinions and beliefs are great, just don't force them on me. Just like I'm not going to force my opinions and beliefs upon you. I will try to make sure that if I put anything out there, either you're going to know it's my opinion and you can take it with a grain of salt, or it's going to be a fact. Okay? So there's that. Also, what was the other thing I had written down? Oh, that dress. Speaking of facts. If you were anywhere on the internet in the recent past, you got to see runaway llamas, and you got to see a dress that no one could figure out whether it was blue and black or if it was white and gold. Now, a couple websites were going, it's clearly blue anyway, even if you think it's gold, the other color is clearly blue. Well, the people who are thinking that it's blue and, or white and gold are also thinking that it's in shade. Okay, it's and therefore in a shade it's going to look blue. Why am I putting it out there like that? Because I'm one of the ones that thinks that called it white and gold. But I'm also one of the few people who went, you know what? This is a perception issue. I'm not going to trust my perception of it. I'm going to actually stick this into a color analyzer and have it tell me what color it is. And the computer told me it is a very pale blue, like a soft eggshell blue, and a goldish brown color. Clearly not navy blue and black. The reason for this is because, why there's such a weird ambiguity though, is because that picture, people try to claim that it was taken at just the right point. I don't think it was. I think it was altered to be at a tipping point for perception. And some people would give it credit as being blue and black and overexposed, where other people are going to see it as white and gold and underexposed. The reason why I think this picture has been altered is because A, it's at a perfect tipping point, and I did something virtually no one else did. And that is, I decided, I wonder what happens if I take a negative of this picture. And the negative of the picture actually just flips the pale blue and the golden brown colors. And they're almost exactly the same colors. It just changes the stripes. Well, the only way it could do that is if it found this little harmonic between those two colors, where one becomes the other and the other becomes the one, which means that they have to be somewhere in some sort of weird center area. They're oddly related to each other. And if they're going to be oddly related to each other that way, human perception is really going to kick in high gear to try to differentiate them. And since it was put together so beautifully where, like I said, a negative of it became the same as the main dress, except for reversed, I'm sorry, I don't believe that that picture was just a, hey, I took a picture. I believe it was a deliberately altered picture. Especially given the many variations of the picture that were going around online where I'm like going, well, that one is clearly a blue and black dress. That one is clearly white and gold because it's been way overexposed, you can see in the background. So that's where it falls on the dress. And again, I didn't trust my own perceptions because I know that my opinions and perceptions can be whatever. I put it through a color analyzer online. I put it through a couple of them, and all of them came back with the same thing. So we all got sucked into someone's little game. But that's what happened with the blue and black or white and gold dress. And learning is the first battle. No, half the battle. No, I started that wrong. So, what you gonna do? Now, thanks to just how things are going and all the, I have been able to take a little bit of time to listen to some of the Big Finish Doctor Who audiobooks. For those of you who are Doctor Who fans, or those of you who aren't, let me fill you in. There's the TV program that everyone knows, many people love, some people not so much. And then for a long time, there's been audiobooks. The audiobooks, to the best of my understanding, really kicked off once the TV show first went into hiatus. And I'm hoping that noise will help my mouth work correctly. So, once the TV show went into hiatus, well, what were they going to do for people to get their Doctor Who fix? And they started making these audiobooks, audio adventures, and coming up with scripts, getting actors in and everything. They even got to where they were getting the actual cast. You know, they got the person, Colin Baker. They got Sylvester McCoy. They eventually got McGann, Paul McGann. They got Peter Davidson just recently. I finally hunted down some last year. They've been on my iPod for about a year now. I haven't listened to them yet. And I listened to one. It was 45, The Word Lord, which was a cool little short with an interesting little villain. Okay? It was a Sylvester McCoy 7th Doctor adventure. 6th Doctor adventure. I don't know. And created an interesting villain who basically is a language-based villain named Nobody No One. And so if you say no one can do that, well then suddenly he's able to do that because he's able to manipulate language to make it reality. And how do you beat someone who's like that? And they do kind of it. But it eventually leads into this other adventure called A Death in the Family, which features characters that had been introduced during the Colin Baker audio adventures. And then the Sylvester McCoy Doctor ends up running into those characters as well as the Word Lord. And it just really culminates a whole bunch of stories. And now I haven't read a whole bunch or listened to a whole bunch of the stories with the other character from Colin Baker. But the nice thing is that the story is paced in such a way that you don't really feel like you're missing too much. You can listen to and enjoy the story, and I greatly enjoyed the story, without having done those other adventures. I now want to go back and get those other adventures someday, but and they give you a little snippet also, so you know who she's talking about when she's talking about her doctor. You get to listen to Colin Baker's voice, and you go, oh, her doctor is Colin Baker. Oh, okay. So, great little thing. If you get a chance, and you every once in a while, Big Finish, they do sales, so go check them out. Get a chance. They also have things that are not Doctor Who on there, so feel free to hunt around, see if, maybe if you're not into Doctor Who, maybe you'll find, some of their other audio adventures. But I say give it a chance, because they really know what they're doing. And this adventure is better than a lot of the stuff we've seen for the last 3 seasons on the actual TV show, I'll tell you that. And I would love to see the Word Lord show up on Doctor Who as a real character there, which would make him inarguably canon. And I would also like to see Jeffrey Combs play him, because I love Jeffrey Combs, but that's a whole other issue. I'm just saying. If anyone with Big Finish and the BBC are listening to me, hey, Jeffrey Combs would make a great word lord for you to introduce into the Doctor Who series. Do it. And for those of you who had, like I said, go hunt these down. It's, I don't know if it's called episode 45 or whatever, but it's 45, the Word Lord. That's the introduction to the Word Lord, and it's a short one. And then later, A Death in the Family, which gives you more of the Word Lord. And it's a very interestingly structured story, too. So, that's something I've been enjoying recently, and I want to share with you, because I'm a sharer. I'm a sharer? Sharer? Is that a word? I don't think that's a word. I'm a giver, which sounds really fake when you say it that way, so I kind of like sharer better. We'll just declare sharer to be a word. Ta-da! So, as well as being a geek, or actually I'm more of a nerd than a geek, but more geek than gay, you know, has a better sound than more nerd than gay. But even though I'm a diehard nerd / geek, also gay, and so, hey, musicals, woo! They filmed one of my favorite musicals. Now, I actually have only seen a production done of it on YouTube. I've not seen one in person, but I'm familiar with the soundtrack, love the soundtrack, Those of you who are Broadway people are going to absolutely hate that. The cast recording, it's an off-Broadway show called The Last 5 Years. And it's an interesting show because what it is it's 5 years of a relationship between two characters. And you get to see her at the beginning, or at the end of the relationship. And she goes through the story all the way to the beginning when they meet. And you get to meet him at the beginning of the relationship, and he goes through it all the way to the end when they split up. And most of the time, they're kind of separate. They only really come together and sing with each other in the middle when he proposes to her, and they get married. And it's a really nice little story. It's got, like, little timey-wimey details, and if you're not into timey-wimey details, then you're not going to like it. I love timey-wimey things. If you're going to mess up with the timeline and you do it in a way that makes sense, I love that. I've discovered that in my writing, I tend to do that myself. Because I find taking things out of order actually feels more in order. I feel like possibly it fits more with narrative and more with just how we think of things. You jump in time in how you think of a narration in your head. You know, oh, I went to the store and I saw that milk, and I remember that next to it used to be eggnog. Oh, my mother really liked eggnog. She always got it before. Everything. Remember that Christmas back to... I mean, you do these little jumps. And that's kind of what happens with timey-wimey things, except for you want to make sure that all those jumps pertain to the story, not just like, eggnog. And here, they all pertain to the story. It's a 2-person tour de force on stage. They did a filmed version of it that they filmed in 3 weeks in New York with, what's her face from Pitch Perfect and from Into the Woods, Anna Kendrick, and Jeremy Jordan, who had been on Smash on TV, and he had done Newsies, and I believe was even nominated for a Tony or something like that for Newsies. So, and you get to see other characters, you even get to hear other people have lines or anything, but it's still essentially just them. It's him and her, that's the whole story. And they don't really interact much directly. I mean, there's his stories where she's there, and there's her stories where he's there, but it's really, as I just said it, her story while he's there. His story while she's there. with them coming together for the wedding. And then they kind of sing together at the end, even though they're singing to the ghost of the other person who's not really there at that moment. Her, because she's like saying, ooh, give me a call tomorrow, I really love you, or love meeting you. And then him, hey, this is not working, I'm sorry, I have to go. And they're singing to each other that, explaining that. It is a great final song. It's not a perfect movie. The transitions between the scenes are very student film, with too much music and way too many crane shots. Way too many crane shots. Most of the other times, the more student film feel actually just feels energetic and quiet and intimate. It's only between scenes that it starts becoming very painful. I will say that. I personally would still give it 5 stars out of 5, but you could argue me down to a 4 on a day when you got me, and I acknowledge it's not for everyone. Because, like I said, it's a musical, it's almost entirely music, it's just 2 people going forth throughout the whole thing, and it plays with the time, too. So if you're not into any of those things, don't worry about it. Interesting thing, it only had a limited release. I was looking for it for like a year. It showed at the festivals last year, and I've been trying to figure out, oh, when's it coming out? When's it coming out? When's it coming out? When's it coming out? Almost missed it. It came out on February 14th, which also happened to be when 50 Shades of Grey and SpongeBob movie came out, and it got buried in that because it's a quiet little movie that was only showing at one theater in the whole state for 2 weeks. Happened to catch it on the last day. Yeah. So, I think it's on direct, and I think Amazon has it on demand and stuff like that. So hunt it down, or if you want to, find the DVD, Netflix it. I recommend it as long as you have no problem with, like I said, it's a musical with very little dialogue, and it plays with time. It's only about 90 minutes, too. It's a nice, because it's a one-act musical, and it just translates really nicely that way into the movie. Also, and please realize that there's so many things that we missed because we were busy. I'm not even going to bother trying to go back and get them all. I'm not. There's just too many for us to have to pick and choose from. But RuPaul's Drag Race, you know we're going to talk about that, and it came back. Our local girl from Tucson, gone. If you haven't caught up, it's been 2 weeks. What have you been doing? It's 2 weeks old. Go back and watch the episodes. I can't even argue with her having gone home. I would have liked to have seen her stay. I think that she's done a whole bunch of really great things, and she was really funny. Just not what we saw in that first episode, sadly. But if you hunt down her stuff online, you'll see that she's really, really funny. What was her name? Tempest de Jour. I have... Unfortunately, the queens are all pretty much the same this year. They seem very interchangeable. It's hard for me to tell them apart. The only one that really stands out is Ginger Minge. Minge? Yeah, Ginger Minge, who's funny, little short, portly thing, has a great style, has a great sense about her and everything. She's an early favorite of mine. I'm not sure if I'm ready to declare her as who I think is going to make Final 3. But if you were to say who at this moment I would like to see in the Final 3, it would be Ginger Minge. Another one called Kennedy Davenport, who seems very professional, seems to know what she's doing. And then another one named Katya, who, it's one of the younger, more interchangeable ones, but she stands out just enough that I see there being potential, even though she did just have to lip sync for her life. And she earned it. But she came out of it well, and I think that might be enough to scare her into doing the job that she should be able to do. those are my 3 early front runners, but it's really early, and the interchangeable skinny twink ones just have not had a chance to break out of their shells and become individuals yet. I think with time we may see, oh, this is who you are. Oh, this is who you are. You're discovering yourself on this show, and we get to discover you too. The pit crew has shrunk down to 3. Sean Morales, who was part of the pit crew for a long time, he did not come back this season. And the other new guy that they got last season didn't come back. So, I can't remember the name of the guy who's been there forever. I want to say Ken. I don't know where I'm pulling Ken out. But then Miles Davis Moody, who is a hoot. Follow him on Twitter. Follow him on Facebook. He's just adorably goofy. And then they have another new guy. During the latest challenge, they had a whole bunch of extras also, pit crew guys. And Miles Davis Moody was one of the ones in the front, and, he doesn't make a good prop. He is way too much personality to just sit there and be a prop. He really stole the show in many scenes from the queens that were doing their thing. And he wasn't trying to. He just has that much energy and personality. So, Rue, maybe don't use him so much as a prop. Or if you need him to be a prop, maybe hide him in the background. I know he's one of the returning ones and therefore has a following and everything, but he's going to steal attention from the girls because he's more entertaining to watch than they are sometimes. He's just having fun. But that's RuPaul's Drag Race. Tune into that. Have fun. Still catching up on Face Off. Still, and I think we're in between on Project Runway. I don't know when that's starting again. So you got those that are coming up. But right now, it's a RuPaul moment. Ooh, RuPaul. Ooh. I don't know why I was undulating there. I'm just going to tell you, I don't know why undulating occurred. Not a clue. So now, like in a good award show, we're going to come to the in memoriam part of the podcast. Because we've lost 3 people recently, since the last time we talked. We lost Gary Owens, who was the voice of Space Ghost. He was also from Laugh-In, and he was the voice of a whole bunch of things. He was an announcer / comedian, and very distinct voice, very distinct style, and unfortunately lost him just recently. Then, as I'm sure many of you guys heard, because this became big national news, lost Leonard Nimoy, Mr. Spock, who also happened to be the voice of In Search Of. He also did the movie, he was the director of 3 Men and a Baby and 3 Men and a Little Girl. He directed some of the other Star Trek movies. He was in the 70s version of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which is a very good interpretation of that movie. He's had a very full career, including putting out an album of singing, which possibly should be ignored. Yeah. Maybe that shouldn't be brought up at his eulogy. Just saying. Don't need to listen to the Ballad of Bilbo Baggins. Don't hunt it down. I've already warned you. Don't hunt it down. Don't let it sully your memory of him. And then we also lost Terry Pratchett. Terry Pratchett, who most famously created the Discworld universe. Many books in the Discworld universe. Humor. I know so many people who those are their favorites. I don't read a lot of fantasy, although it is one of the ones that I've always wanted to delve into because I've heard so many great things about it, and every time I hear descriptions, it sounds great. I have a couple that I just haven't had a chance to get into. He also was a supporter of gaming because Steve Jackson Games, they put out a role-playing system called GURPS, Generic Universal Role-Playing System, and they came up with a Discworld role-playing source book, and Terry Pratchett actually contributed to the role-playing source book, as well as I believe he contributed to the sequel to that source book, too. So, very full guy, very into the community, and another loss for sci-fi fantasy and geekdom everywhere. Mort. So. Put your hands in the air, raise them up like you just don't care. I don't know. The roof is on fire. Give me a hose. Why are you letting the roof burn? What the heck? But we are at the point of the show where it's time for me to wind down. Never said this was going to be a long episode. Hopefully this is not a long episode. I have no idea how long this episode is. But it feels like it's not that long of an episode. Like I said earlier, just going to give you, like, if you guys get a chance to help out, I'm just going to put this out there. The car, we're still trying to figure out financially what to do with the car. We did set up a FundMe, which is kind of like a way for people to basically put out there, hey, if you have some spare change or whatever, please, and you want to, you can assist. It's basically helping us come up with money for getting the car fixed, which will also then help us with getting the cat to the vet, because right now all sorts of money things are in the air with those two things. And there are little thank yous that are included. I think I finally figured out where the addresses are on there, so I can actually now start fulfilling the thank yous. Our friend Jeannie Koch of the Aliens, Team Jeannie, she's even helped out with donations up to a certain point. She's donated some things that to give as thank yous for helping us out. So if you can, that would be great. If you can't, don't worry about it. I understand times are hard. Okay, trust me. So the web address I'm going to put as a link on the website. But in addition, let me tell you, even though the web address is quite a mouthful, you might want to just follow the link. FundMe has weird web addresses. The web address is www.fundme.com/EN/projects/16170-help-fix-mom-s, the letter S, car-Gloria. The reason for that last part is because what I called the FundMe is Help Fix Mom's Car Gloria, because the name of the car is Gloria, and it was my mom's car. She loved that car, and that's part of the reason why we're trying to get it fixed, because there's emotional attachment as well as needing it for living. But didn't realize that would make the web address even that much more complicated. So, again, if you can give any help, that's great. If you can't, it's understood. Maybe pass this on to others that you maybe think could help us out. What you gonna do? Also, if you do have a chance to offer up some help, don't forget about Joshua Tree Feeding Program. They are a non-profit organization that helps people with HIV and AIDS get food. They are non-profit, all volunteer. Their website is www.jtfp.org. They have a sister program that helps people feed their pets so that they don't have to choose between feeding themselves and feeding their pets. So if you can offer any assistance to them, that is also a great, great thing. If you get a spare chance, check out the Satyrsphere. Great podcast, very entertaining. Also check out Patrick at Screamqueenz. Okay, that's Screamqueenz with a Z. Satyrsphere is kind of just a generic, hey, he's talking about things that he likes podcast for about an hour. He and Cindy, very fun. You feel very much involved with their lives. Then there is Screamqueenz with Patrick. It's a horror podcast, but even if you don't like horror, he's incredibly funny, very sweet, just a charming, charming person. And every once in a while he gives homework, and then you end up watching Friday the 13th. Well, you end up watching Jason Goes to Hell and remembering, oh, that's why I don't remember this movie, because it was bad. So, thanks, Patrick. But he doesn't always give you bad movies to watch. Sometimes he gives you ones that you want to go try to hunt down, even though it doesn't appear to be showing anywhere in your town. Like the one called It Follows, which sounds like an intriguing allegory for HIV infection scare. But I don't know. I won't know if it actually is that or not until I actually get a chance to see it. And not saying that I think that the person who came up with it actually is intending it to be an HIV infection scare. I think maybe they were inspired by it, though, from what I've seen. Or what I've heard about it. Anyway, Satyrsphere.com, which I believe is a blog spot. But if you just put in Satyrsphere, SATYRSPHERE, and put that in search for it, you'll find him. And Screamqueenz, as long as you spell Screamqueenz as one word with a Z at the end, you'll find Patrick. You'll also find Patrick on Facebook. So go check those guys out. They're fantastic. Thank you all for sticking around, continuing to support us even when we're not around. And we will be around more often. I just, like I said earlier, don't know what the schedule is going to be like. Gonna try to figure out our schedule within the next 2 weeks. But in that 2-week period, I don't know when the next episode's coming out. Okay? Should be coming out at the latest in a week. But if things go well, you may be getting one sooner, okay? Because Joseph does have things that he might want to tell us about the book festival that he was gone at. So, like I said, we will figure out our schedule. Thank you for your patience. Just like I have to figure out what to do with Math Monkeys, the math podcast I do, and 4-Color Storytime. I gotta fit those in too. And I gotta go do homework. Oh my gosh. So, without any further ado, ciao!